Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another Saturday We Are Movie Club Hangout. I am Kamurai.
And I'm Charlie. Hello, everyone.
And we've got our Englishman back. Hurrah.
Yeah, I tried to escape, but he won't let me go that easily.
No, I have to let him out of the basement occasionally, but
But only when he's
pretty
feeling
much stuck
generous.
with me. Only when you've been a good boy.
Mm.
This is horrible. Happy birthday, Sid Cam. I want to start with saying that.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I didn't know it was her birthday until she told me that she wasn't going to be here. I don't know, she expressed interest in showing up at least for talks.
Yeah, instead she had the nerve to have a birthday.
How dare she?
Could she?
Man, I've got some movies to talk about this week, along with a series or two. Charlie, is there anything you want to talk about before we get to what we watched, like industry-wise? Oh, I do have I have two things I forgot. But anything you want to?
No, not really. I mean, I'm hearing lots of good things about Guardians of the Galaxy, which means I should probably go and watch it. But no, apart from that, I've not really heard much else.
Yeah, you seem to be a good candidate to like that movie. I think I'll like it too. I just don't know if I'll like it enough to go see the movies, and I'm kind of angry with Marvel and the comic book universe right now. I don't know if you caught Thoughtful Thursday a couple days ago, but that's kind of what that was about.
I did. I was gonna say, shall we include a link in the description for your rant?
No, because it's work. But if you go over to youtube.com/htkb, I've got a rant over there for Thoughtful Thursdays, and it's called a minor issue, where I'm just kind of bitching about Marvel and Thor, and it's the same stuff we kind of talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was basically just you getting it down in an actual format rather than just us yammering.
I like us yammering though.
Wow, we work well together.
Yeah, and I've got another one kind of coming up, but it has to do more with video games next week. So I actually got a little upset on that when I had to get myself to stop filming before I just screamed at the camera for a while. So that'll be fun. But the industry side stuff, I found two very interesting things. When I was at RTX, I've mentioned this a couple times, but I don't have the footage up because I've been having issues with this computer. I just got a new case, so hopefully, and I cleaned everything, because when you have dust on stuff, it ruins it. But hopefully it'll settle long enough for me to get through the Disneyland footage, get through the Kink.com stuff I can start on RTX. But when I was at RTX, the highlight of the thing really for me was coming across the Weird Girls panel. I've mentioned this a couple times. The guy, his name is Mark Gardner. He helps out with them and runs stuff. He's behind Livable Varmint, which is the production company. Right. And it's with an N. That's the problem I had last week. So he had mentioned a couple times that they had a web series called Cell. And I was like, oh, something else I can torture Charlie with. But it's good enough that I wanted to actually go ahead and make a video without waiting on We Are Movie Club. So I've got a review of that coming up, but I wanted to mention it here. It's really good. You and I had actually had a conversation about Phone Booth and Buried. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember, but I've slept since then, so I don't remember much.
Goldfish memory.
Oh yeah.
But I've long claimed that you can ruin a show by keeping a static scene. Totally blows this away, because the whole thing takes place in a basement for the most part.
Oh wow, that's good.
Yeah, the whole basis is that a guy gets kidnapped and thrown in a cell in a basement across from a woman who's apparently been there, and it's all about that story. Um, so like right there, I'm intrigued. I don't know if that does that sound intriguing to you or no.
That sounds very intriguing to me. It reminds me of a book I read, which over here in the last few years we've had like a craze of like Danish and Norwegian and Swedish sort of crime stuff. And there was one book I read about where um, a woman got kidnapped and sort of held in the basement of this house, which is across the street from her own. And she was and it was like loads of video cameras, so she could see the house, but she couldn't get to it. So that kind of, this is going to sound really strange, so please don't take this the wrong way to anyone watching. But the whole idea of being trapped in a basement is something strangely appealing to me.
That you'd want to be kidnapped and kept in a basement?
No, I just think that as a fictional sort of trope, I think it's one that works well, and there's plenty of, in a strange way, there's plenty of places you can take being trapped in an enclosed area.
I will suggest that you use intriguing instead of appealing, because that might invite somebody to be like, oh, he'll like it. I'll put him in there and we'll hug him and squeeze him and I will call him George.
I find the concept of basements weirdly intriguing.
Well, you guys don't have basements. You have cellars there, right?
Same thing. One stores wine, the other one stores dead bodies.
Well, that's the thing is like we have basements here that are really like a subfloor. Like that's what a basement typically is in America, or at least in the Midwest, where you have tornadoes and stuff. In the South, you really don't have basements that often, and when you do, they're just a floor that happens to be below the entrance of the house.
Yeah, we don't really have that.
Yeah, I was gonna say there, it's literally like a wine cellar or something. It's a storage space, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just an extra space to put stuff.
Like attics. Mostly your attics are just storage spaces too, right?
Yep. Although there is a bit of a trend about converting them now, but it's not something that my family's ever really jumped on.
Okay, that's cool. A lot of places here. Let's get that out of the shot. I just realized. Sorry. A lot of places here, like the attic, will sometimes be a whole floor, furnished, finished, everything. Other times it'll be just like there, but it's a pretty common thing to make that be a big resale value on the house, is a finished attic. So where normally you'd have a 2-story house with storage in the attic and basement, you could change it to be a 4-story house, and it'll almost double the value if you can do all that.
And in other news this week, we talk about movies.
Oh, okay. I got one more thing.
Go on.
Or I got my 2 things. I guess that's one of them because I did watch Cell this week. But those same guys, it turns out that on Mondays they've got a show that's very similar to ours. It's called their weekly recap. They talk about all the TV shows they've been watching, whereas we sit here for however long and talk about everything we've been watching. But they've turned me on to a couple things. They like The Strain. I really want to watch, but I'm having issues. Is that a cat? No. Okay, that's my bed. Sorry, I don't know if you can see my screen, Charlie, but like this was weirding me out there for a second.
Actually, yeah, now you come to mention it, that does look a bit sinister.
But okay, so I actually was interacting with Mark and his wife Elizabeth on the comments pretty heavily, and it was really good interaction. I really like all the people involved over there with Weird Girls and Lovable Varmint. They're a real fun bunch. They did get me watching Legend of Korra, and I actually powered through the first 2 seasons and the current what's available the current season on Nickelodeon.com. So that's definitely something. You've heard about Legend of Korra, haven't you?
Very vaguely.
Have you seen The Last Airbender?
No.
Charlie,
Should we pick it? Make it a future pick?
No, it's a legit TV show. It's too long to fit into like movie watching. So I would never do that to you unless we both agreed ahead of time that we wanted to do that.
Fair.
It's just it doesn't fit our format very well. But it's super interesting. It's super good. Last Airbender was amazing, and I was really apprehensive about Legend of Korra because we already saw these incredible things, and a lot of the incredible things that we saw in the first series are just kind of like commonplace now. Like you get to the end of the first season, and then there's a big bending issue, and then the second one is kind of like a fight for the end of the world, and then the third season, I don't know what you do to follow up the end of the world, but apparently it's you have these super elite criminals that we keep alive for some reason try to kill the Avatar, which is the main character, Korra in this case.
Actually, I've just thought of something I did want to bring up, and it's something vaguely related to stuff we've discussed before. That the filming of the new season of Big Bang Theory has actually been delayed.
Why is it being delayed? Do you know?
I do know. It's because the main few characters are now holding out for $1 million an episode.
The greedy bastards! Fuck them! Recast.
There was a
CBS
rumor
recast. Fuck them.
There was a rumor that went out last week that there'd been a bit of a fight on set and that Jim Parsons had walked off set, but I think that was sort of debunked. But no, this whole sort of holding out for more money thing turns out is very likely a true thing.
Fuck them. The show has outlived itself. I don't know how long it was originally designed for, but it doesn't feel like it should still be on. The show's changed atmosphere completely. It's not what it was that made it famous. Once it got famous, like they changed attitudes completely.
Well, it's like what we said in a few weeks ago. It's just changed into something completely different. So it doesn't really work anymore.
Very sad by that. Saddened. Yeah, they don't have my support for that. I think that's a greedy move. I'm not saying that I'm not saying they're not worth that, but I'm saying like to strike for that when they're probably already making a pretty good thing. Because look, I'm not saying acting's hard, but they're making more than my salary per episode. Like fuck you.
Well, I think originally previously.
Charlie, I got a black screen and gobbledygook on that. You want to start over?
Said I think before this, on about 300,000 an episode.
Yeah, fuck you, Jim Parsons. How about that?
Can I get that and make that a GIF, please?
Fuck it. Oh, you're welcome to.
I just
asshole.
Let's make that a Vine.
He was in the goddamn Muppet movie. I'm not saying that like he shouldn't have got paid for that role, and I'm not saying he shouldn't get paid well for Big Bang Theory, because yeah, it's doing well, and the show's probably making hand over fist money. But like to be part of the Muppet movie, that's almost a payment itself, and then fucking that's so angry. That's. Because, I mean, like, 300,000 an episode, like, I'm trying to think, like, compared to my salary, that's almost 6 years' worth of payment per episode for 12 episodes a season, right?
It's more than that. I think, it's at least a good 17 episodes a run.
Let's be conservative and say 15.
Yeah.
So 15 times 300,000... Let's see, that looks like 4,500,000. Yeah, 4.5 mil. Fuck you. Give me 1 million. I'll make it last. Oh God.
Yeah, the new series that has just started, the season 7 was 24 episodes.
24? So we're talking almost twice that.
They've had 4 series. The last 4 series now have been 24 episodes.
That blows my mind. Like, why do these shows make that much money? Like, there's a point where it's gonna be just the big corporations shuffling money between themselves.
Mm.
It's we gotta stop. I'm gonna go on a Marxist rant. We have to stop.
What have you watched in the last week?
Oh, so angry. Well, I spent a lot of it watching Korra because it was just that damn good. Like, so it's like, oh, I'm gonna have the episode on while I go to bed. I'll watch another episode. 2 hours later, it's like, I should probably turn this off and go to sleep. And I tried watching the stream, but I can't watch the stream because it's. So I tried watching a couple shows like this, but there are problems with like Hulu and things where the shows, you have to be subscribed to their providers, like TNT or Sci-Fi or whatever it is, to watch it online legitimately. And I try my damnedest to watch things legitimately. So I just kind of gave it a pass for now. Like Defiance, I want to catch up on Defiance, but I watched what I could, and then the rest is like, you're gonna have to wait or subscribe, and it's like, no, fuck you. But you guys don't get that because you've got the BBC over there, right?
Well, TV works a bit differently because we've moved to a system of just digital TV now. So to get that the basic digital package, you get like the main channels, and then you get like a load of other crap that no one watches. But basically, you kind of get like 35 channels as standard now, and then you can build and you can buy other stuff depending on what you want and your budget, really.
Do you guys get HBO over there?
I don't know. If you do, you'll probably have to pay quite a lot for it, but I don't
I'm
think
sure.
so.
Just the fact of whether or not it's available, like if you could get Game of Thrones over there. It's just maddening. It's like, let me pay a subscription fee directly to you. They can't do it because they have contracts with the cable companies. But like, they're refusing money is what it is. It's like, I'm not paying cable companies. I'll pay you $5 a month maybe to watch these shows, because if you've got shows I want to watch, I'll do it. But the thing is that adds up. You start doing it all over the place. But that's what's like Hulu's for. But fuck, if they cut out the cable companies and they just took $1 per person for monthly subscriptions, they'd be making twice as much money. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, definitely. Just to confirm with Game of Thrones, we can get it on one of the Sky channels. So I think it's Sky Atlantic, which again you have to pay extra for. So I don't get it.
Yeah, Sky is like your deluxe service over there, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not completely ignorant, but I'm pretty dumb. I just don't live there. I try to keep up when things get mentioned, but but let's see. I did watch some movies as well as catching up on Defiance and Korra. Oh, I did finish Dead Like Me. I didn't realize I didn't have the last disc until it came in. So I did finish off Dead Like Me. It ends in kind of a funny spot, but there is a movie. And there was some big deal about her getting a boob job in between the series and the movie. So I'm looking forward to finding out what that's about.
Have fun.
And then, thanks to you, I'm now watching Rookie Blue.
Yes, I need to start watching that again. What do you think?
Well, I've only got through the first 4 episodes.
It's about as far as I got, to be honest.
Here's kind of my opinion thus far. Missy Peregrine is kind of a treat to watch. She's not only is she a good actress, but she's pretty to look at. The blonde on the show kind of blows her away, though. At least looks-wise. And then a lot of the other people, like, it's really hit or miss with their acting, it feels like. Do you get that at all?
Yeah, some of them are a bit iffy, but yeah, I think overall, I think they've done pretty well.
Well, and I haven't watched as much as you, so I'm not there yet. I'm not saying I won't get there because the show's got a lot of potential, but right now it looks like it's a lot of propaganda for the police. Like like, hey, we're buddies, we're good guys, we're there to serve and protect, which they don't do here. I don't know if
Mm.
you know that.
I don't really know, no.
It is not the police's job to serve and protect the public. It is the police's job to enforce laws.
Yeah.
And it would almost be better if they were out there to serve and protect.
Mm.
But they're understaffed, they're overworked, it's dangerous. The reality of being a police officer is pretty crazy. Because you don't know who the enemy is.
Well, yeah,
It's
that's the
more,
problem, isn't it?
yeah, it's more dangerous to be a police officer than a soldier. Because at least when you go to war, you know which way you're shooting.
That's true. Yeah.
And then there's all the bullshit where like you get in trouble for doing your job as a police officer, and like you get in trouble for capping a criminal because he was going for his cell phone, stupid shit like that. But then you get dirty cops, which I fucking hate. I don't know if there's a person I hate more than dirty cops. But you get dirty cops, and then you get idiots that overreact and don't uphold the law. Like, I don't know if you're familiar. There's a Mark something. He exercises the Second Amendment right, which just probably blows your mind, being British. He'll just walk around with his rifle.
Yeah, that's not something I have a personal agreement with, but again, I think we'd both end up getting on soapboxes if we carried on with that.
Well, and I'm not trying to get us to that point, but the facts is that certain states are essentially combating the Second Amendment, which is a federal law or federal right that you have the right to bear arms. But certain states have tried to fight that. Like Florida, I theoretically am not allowed to carry my rifle out in public. I think I can transfer it to my car. It's supposed to be in a case. It's not supposed to be loaded. But like in Washington or Oregon or wherever it was he was when he first got, like they had like 6 cops on him. Open carry's legal. The law is that he has the right to walk around with a loaded fire or long rifle, not a handgun. And he was just exercising that because he got out of the military and he was like, oh, this is a thing, I can do it. He researched it, and they illegally detained him. They illegally took his rifle from him, took his rounds, strewn them all over the ground, got him dirty, which could make the rifle misfire and hurt himself or others. So not only did they break the law, they actually endangered him in future.
Helpful.
Yeah, so they're a bunch of assholes. So cops like that I have problems with because they weren't enforcing any laws. They were just, oh, let's react to this situation, which is fine. But know what law you're upholding, you know?
Well, yeah, exactly. But
Sorry.
But yeah, I wouldn't say mystified, but you know, it always seems a bit of a hot topic in this country. As soon as anything like that happens in America, you know, quite a lot of people over here suddenly start getting on soapboxes about why is that legal in any way, etc., etc.
Partly it's your fault. Not your fault, but Britain's fault.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, no, because that's where the Second Amendment comes from. Is there was a point where like the colonists were banned from firearms because the British wanted to have the advantage against any colonial uprisings against their authority. So they banned rifles. So the colonists got around it however they did. And when we finally kicked you out, or you left, I think in reality you guys left. I don't think we really kicked you out.
I think we just decided it wasn't worth the care bills anymore. But
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like you guys just went, nah, fuck you. You can have it. So, but like that was one of the things is that's the Second Amendment's there to prevent similar issues from happening, so that the government can't bully people because they're the ones that are armed. Because there's that thing, if a cop walks up to you with a gun and is like, suck my dick, and you have no way to defend it yourself, then you suck that dick, you know?
Mm.
or you get shot. I mean, whatever your preference is. But like that's from corrupt officials, and we're very much of today where it's like we're not corrupt, and everyone in the fucking government's corrupt. We have a government built on corruption, but you're British, so I guess we only have so much we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just what it is. But I'm looking forward to checking out the rest of season 1 for Rookie Blue and seeing where it goes.
Yeah, well, hopefully you like it.
I want to talk about Red vs. Blue last. So I'm just trying to look at the other movies that I watched. Do you have any movies you want to talk about? I know you've been busy, but
I've been catching up basically. So yeah, Red vs. Blue 6, Despicable Me. Alan's pick for Harry Movie Club this week was Demolition Man, and that was bloody brilliant.
Looks like you guys are doing action movies.
Yeah, Demolition Man is one I haven't seen before, and that was really, really good.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, because I really like that movie. What's your love it for that one?
Well, I think the concept was pretty good. I mean, as soon as I sort of caught the fact of being put into cryogenic stasis and then being unfrozen to kind of carry on the pursuit of years ago, it's almost like the very first Austin Powers movie, I thought. But
yeah, that's where the joke was. They were specifically referencing Demolition Man.
There you go. Then at least I picked that up. But no, I thought it was really good. I like it when like 80s, 90s films do like a prediction of the future, because we can see sort of how almost right or wrong they are. I don't know. I like that sort of charm about what they thought the future was going to be like. But overall, I thought it was really good. The action was very good. I liked the characters. I thought Sandra Bullock did really well in it. It was that kind of...
She's amazing.
She was excellent in that film, and I thought that she did the job, but there was that innocence and naivety about it as well, which I just thought was really funny.
She does that really well, and like I've seen her make enough dirty jokes on like interviews and stuff that I know that's not a true thing. But she seems like such a nice person, and she's just a bang-on actress. I think that was my first actress crush, was Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, I can definitely see why. But no, I just thought that was really good. Do you know, this is going to sound really stupid, but I think that may have been the first film I've actually seen Sylvester Stallone in, and I'm not sure. I can't think of anything else. I'm going to have to have a proper look on IMDb, but
I would think that you would have seen The Expendables.
No.
That would have been one up your alley. Rambo, even.
No. I haven't seen Rocky. I haven't.
Well, and Rocky, I don't know. I think if you like boxing, you'll like Rocky, but you seem to like guns and action because it seems like more of a fantasy world for you.
Yeah, I think just with just films in general, it's just like a lack of it's just a lack of having done it, which sounds weird, but you know, it's just there's not much I've seen. But obviously, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to change that, but. No, overall, Demolition Man's probably in my top 10 now, I think.
No, and that's an excellent pick to put there. It's not going to be in my top 10, as much as I love Sandra Bullock. And actually, Sylvester Stallone is a pretty good actor, as much as we want to make fun of him for how he talks or whatever. But he did a really good job. He really, like, to me, he really captured that, like, dumb attitude of, like, I don't know how any of this works, but I'm smart enough to get by. Like, he goes and he curses out the ticket machine.
Yeah, that was a good. I like that.
So he can wipe his ass, and everyone's just like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" But no one does anything about it.
Yeah.
I really liked all the equipment, like the foam in the car, is one of my favorite things.
That was pretty good, yeah.
The VR sex stuff, like that's something like we're trying to achieve now, which is funny, but. The idea that like it would evolve to a point where you don't have physical contact ever. Like,
That scene happened, and I was almost expecting for her to sort of come back with the helmet, him take one look and go, "No," and just sort of just carry on with, well, what his intention was basically. I was expecting him that kind of thing to happen. I wasn't expecting to have even tried it.
yeah, well, I mean, he was really actually open-minded about everything once he got into the swing of it. So he's like, "Oh, I guess this is how they do stuff now, so I'll do it." But I don't know. But it's amazing. Like, you compare that. Have you seen iRobot?
Only bits. I haven't seen it all the way through.
Oh, but you got enough to like see the cars and similarities to the movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so technology-wise, it's amazing how close Demolition Man and iRobot are, despite them being like almost 10 years apart.
Mm.
And you just saw it. Do you think Demolition actually holds up to today's standards?
I think, to be honest, it does. I don't think there was anything fundamentally wrong or even outdated about it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they it's still sci-fi for even today. It's not like they were talking about cell phones being a magical device or anything. The aesthetics hold up, the effects hold up, the glow rods and stuff are all just enough to still be kind of out there.
Yeah, for a 20-year-old film, I'd still say it was good.
And how was Wesley Snipes as a villain? You got to give it to him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That wanted to lead me on to a different point actually.
Sure.
Another film we watched for Harry Movie Club a few weeks ago was Highlander, which again, very good. But you've seen Highlander, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah. Clancy Brown in that plays one strange ass motherfucker. He's just been he is now providing a voice in the new SpongeBob film.
Okay.
Which I've not seen SpongeBob in a very long time, but it almost makes me want to see it just so I can see what happens.
I could do without SpongeBob, I'll be honest. Not my bag.
But it's just, I saw the poster and I was like, wait, it can't be the same one, and it is. The Kurgan is in SpongeBob. Mainly because apparently he's the voice of Mr. Krabs, and I never knew that.
That actually, I could see that. Okay, I could see that. I know enough about the show that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just, now that I've seen him in something else, it's really, really funny.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I like that. Let's see. All right, I don't know. I think this will go pretty quick. I'll start going into my tirades. I should have looked this up before I started mentioning. The first movie I want to talk about that I saw was Tiger Eyes. I'm trying to see who the actress was because she's really good.
Tiger Eyes.
It's based on a Judy Blume book. And what's her name? Willa Holland. The reason I wanted to mention her is because she's actually in Arrow. And I'm a big fan of that. She's actually the little trouble sister. So this was really nice to see her do almost the opposite character, where she's actually like traumatically trying to deal with things in like positive ways, as opposed to being this strung out junkie almost. But it makes me want to watch Arrow again. I need to catch up and make sure I'm up to date. Gorgeous girl, but better actress by far. But the whole premise of the movie is that, and it becomes very clear at the beginning that her dad dies, and then her and her family go to New Mexico to visit relatives to try to deal with the problem and let things heal. And this is kind of an important note. The mom is played by Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Power Ranger. And I've got to say this, not even as a man, just to her credit, she looks amazing. Like that ass. I did not expect her to keep up her physique and everything from back when she was the Pink Power Ranger in, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up, 1994, I'm sorry. Because apparently there was some kind of short before the series, all the way to now, and she is, let's see, she was born in 1970, so she's 44 now. She looks older, but I would not have guessed in her mid-40s. It is amazing. It just, maybe I'm just at my phase in my life. I'm trying to run again a little bit and get back into shape, or at least not be fat. So just seeing things like that, people hold together and stay healthy and in physical form, is amazing to me. And I would dare say that like she looks the same as she did back then, but doesn't look worse. But no, but it's a really powerful story. It's got plenty of feels, some questionable choices on some of the characters' parts, but really got behind it.
On the subject of Arrow, it's something that I've heard mentioned over here, but I'm not actually sure if we get it.
Yeah, I've been watching it on Hulu, I think, so I'm not sure if Netflix has it.
No, I don't. I'm pretty sure Netflix does.
Let me check American Netflix. Oh, American Netflix has it. They have the first season.
Okay, that might be worth me having a look.
23 episodes. Definitely worth you having a look. Do you like Batman?
I'm not going to turn it down. Yeah, we do get it. Yeah.
Okay. Green Arrow is kind of a dirty Batman. They're from the same universe, obviously. They're both DC Comics. But Green Arrow is kind of the Batman of Starling City, but he's not exactly afraid to kill people. So it's really kind of, if you took Batman and you gave him that edge to make him a killer. Even if he's doing it for noble purposes, he's still a blatant murderer. But I'm a fan because he's killing like crime bosses and shit. So my support's her.
So anyway, what's so good about Tiger Eyes then?
Tiger, it's a powerful movie. It's got full of feels. Willa Holland does an excellent job with it because she's the main character. You might tear up a little bit, if trigger warning for people who have lost family members, but it's just really good. It's a dramatic story. It's got some uplifting stuff in it, but I recommend it. It's really good. It's very similar to Fault in Our Stars. Like, again, I haven't seen the movie, but I've listened to the book. But I put them in the same category because it's supposed to be a very traumatic, depressing atmosphere, but amazingly uplifting story and characters when it comes down to it. Okay, so moving on. I watched a couple crap movies, or I tried to watch them. All She Can it's a story about a high school girl who enters a powerlifting competition for a scholarship, and she ends up taking drugs to get an edge, and then she chickens out of the competition because she doesn't want to get caught. And I stopped watching pretty much.
It's fairly generic then.
Yeah, it's not. It's just boring. It's like, well, that's not going to work out for you. Oh, look, it didn't work out for you. And then The Last Days looked really interesting, but it was foreign, so I ended up stopping after a little bit because I got tired of reading. It's like not a dystopian, but it's an apocalyptic type movie. But I left before any action. One I would recommend is All Cheerleaders Die.
Okay.
For whatever reason, and maybe it's because like I watched Bring It On once upon a time. It's probably rated. And then there's a gymnastics show. And for whatever reason, gymnastics and cheerleading show up together. So like I got all these cheerleading movie recommendations at one point. So when that happened, I saved All Cheerleaders Die because this just came out recently for Netflix. But this is really good because it's like the bitchy cheerleaders hanging out with the jocks, and like everything goes south. Like one of the guys ends up attacking one of the girls, and it turns into this big to-do, and then whatever happens, the girls end up getting in a car and running off the road into a river. Hopefully, I'm trying not to spoil it, but I'm going to tell enough to really set up the real premise. And I don't know if it's really her ex-girlfriend or what, because their orientations are very fluid. But it's very pro whatever you want to be, so I like that part of it. But her like ex-girlfriend ends up doing Wicca magic to, well, first she jumps into the river and pulls them out when the guys wouldn't, and then she does Wicca magic to try to save their lives. And I was half expecting to be like, well, this is just gonna look fucking stupid, and she's gonna like murder the rest of the cheerleaders or something. But the twist is that it works, and she brings them all back to life. But they're essentially zombies and bound to her. So the rest of the movie is them dealing with that and trying to still handle the boys on the football team. And then the main guy, the real asshole, figures it out, and then we find out all this other dark stuff that happened before the movie. So it's really it's a really weird mix of romance and action and magic.
Sounds intriguing, though.
It's something different, and it's different in all the good ways to me. And even if you're just a pig and you like watching chicks make out, it's got that. Cheerleaders are all hot, whatever. But it's got, I think the word's tropes that I'm not used to seeing. Like you have like pro-sexual encounters for the girls who are like they're the ones in control of the situation. There's things where the girls are taking on the guy, and like there are some wins and losses in the battles. But there's a very like pro-feminist undertone to the whole thing. Which you just don't see a lot, the way it's delivered. I'm not saying that's the entirety of the movie. It's not the point. They don't hit you over the head with it, because typically that's the mistake they make when they do those sort of things.
Yeah.
And of course, when you start watching things on Netflix, they start suggesting other things. So like Cheerleader Massacre showed up. I will have probably 10 words to say about both these movies, because I watched Cheerleader Massacre 2 and I was like, okay, this is horrible. It's basically a porn where cheerleaders die. And then I watched the original to see what the original was and how bad that was, because how the fuck did it get a sequel, you know? And I can't remember which one it was, but one of them, it was, I'm going to ruin it. It was like the girl's best friend. There's like the one girl, the poor girl on the squad, who doesn't have a scholarship. She gets her friend to drive her up to meet the rest of the girls there, and it turns out her friend is the one that kills everybody, even though she couldn't possibly have been in the right place at all the right times.
All right.
But she's using her dad's robots to fly around and sneak around and kill them, so she has an out. Because her dad is a contractor with the government that makes killer robots. And then one of them, the other one, was just crazy. I don't even remember. Horrible. It's got tits and ass, but not much else. If you're into watching cheerleaders die, there's some Goro for you, but
I'm tempted to
after. Sorry, go ahead.
Tempted to just go with Final Destination.
Yeah, that would be a better one, a better movie. If you just want to watch a bunch of people die in a movie, Final Destination is where I would send you. I'm
so tempted to pick that.
It's a great series of movies. It really is. Nobody should shit on that movie.
It's one of those that you're surprised that they can carry it out successfully for so long.
If you watch it, it makes perfect sense that they went that far. But like you're right. Every time you're like, another one? I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I watched the first one and it was great, and then it got to the second one and I thought, well, how are they going to do this? And then suddenly logs come flying down a freeway, and suddenly everything makes sense.
Yeah, they did. They really did a good job setting up each of the movies. Because that's an important thing when you're doing a series is you have to have a reason that you're doing the next movie in the series, and they come up with it. They didn't need to, but they did. It's really unique in serialized movies like that.
Hmm.
Um, the next movie I want to talk about real quick, probably not too far, but because you'll spoil it if you talk about it too long. There's a movie called Old Boy.
Okay.
I think the original was Korean, and I did watch that. Fantastic movie. Um, so well done. It really was. It deserves worldwide fame. Um, Mostly because all the action that happens, because the premise of the movie is the guy gets kidnapped and held captive for 20 years in this room. But he
Hmm.
was kind of an asshole to begin with. And he kind of goes through these moments where he's going insane, and then he decides he's going to be a better person. And then he starts training himself in martial arts because he's got a TV, and what else is he going to do? You know?
Yeah.
So when the point of the movie is that eventually he gets released, and that's where the story really starts. Um, they take him, they put him in like a chest, they leave him in a field, and he busts out of the chest and starts investigating to find his daughter and who put him there and take him out. So in the old version, there's a lot of martial arts because it's in a country where there's no guns. Um, and not like England where there's no guns, but all the criminals have guns, but there are no guns. Tracking?
Right. Okay. Just
Uh,
about.
well, I no offense to your country. It just that's the way the movies based there make it seem is that every criminal's packing, but none of the good people are. So he has to like use a hammer. That's actually a signature thing for the movie. Is he uses this ball peen hammer to just beat the shit out of people. So when they brought it over to America and they did the American version, they could have very easily had all these thugs with guns. It would have been very believable. He would have had to shoot his way out. But they kept traditional with it, and he actually uses the hammer for a good part of it. Because he goes through all the same stuff, but they change up some of the delivery to keep it good for the people who had watched the other one. So it's one of the few cases where I can go like, yeah, this definitely isn't the other movie, but it has enough of the key elements that it's good.
Yeah, and that you know it's similar.
Yeah, so you can definitely see what they pulled and what they didn't. And I really like this one as much as I like the other one. I'd watch both movies back to back any day of the week, and not feel like I watched the same movie twice. Um, we're finding a lot of stuff recently that I find unique. Like Down Periscope, I think is a unique comedic writing. Old Boy's a unique sequel to me. I know I just mentioned something else. Can't remember what it was now.
All cheerleaders die.
Oh yeah, a unique feminist movie where it doesn't hit you over the head, but it's very pro equalitarian, if you will. Um,
Mm.
and you remember Mark, right? Mark W. Gray.
Yes, the living
Yes.
legend.
Yeah, very nice man. YouTube's you can find him over on youtube.com/MarkWGray, or you can find him at Professor Puppet. Um, he is the man behind the puppet. He does lots of good stuff. I think
The
there was
man
a thing.
underneath the.
The man underneath. That's actually a good point. I think he did. There was a thing where he did the Renaissance Festival. I think the latest thing is that he went to Comic-Con with his kids recently, and his kids are aghast too. So, if I remember right, it's Fiona Gray Toast and what's Noah's channel? Do you remember?
I can't remember now.
Something mustache. But I'm sure if you go to Mark's channel, he's got them featured, and you can find them pretty easily. But he had, we were talking about weird stuff, and he had brought up Nazis. You remember that?
do remember that.
Oh, we were talking about Transformers. That's what it was. In the Dark Side of the Moon, and he had mentioned a movie about Nazis living on the dark side of the moon called Iron Sky.
But there was no reference to Pink Floyd at any time, so.
Knowing Mark, I bet he did, and we just didn't remember. Because it's
Oh,
just age appropriateness.
that's just reminded me of a film I might want to put as a future pick.
Which one?
Hang on, let me just double check.
Okay, you find it while I keep talking.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it's a movie about Nazis living on the dark side of the moon, and it is ridiculous. Like they actually, I'm gonna just go ahead and spoil things because you can watch it and it's not gonna be ruined for you. They actually turn. I'm gonna say Negro, and no one everyone blast me. I don't care. But they turn a Negro guy Aryan. Like they actually inject him with something that turns him like super pale with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Mm.
And then like there's the main female lead is a teacher of Aryan children, and she's trying to teach them that the Nazis are there to take over and provide peace and support to the subhumans, because as the master race, it's their responsibility to whatever. Whereas like all the other people on the ship are like, we can't wait to get to the Earth and kill all the people, cleanse the world, because that's what the Fourth Reich is all about, apparently. But they're Nazis. It's just what it is. So what happens is like they send a couple of Americans to the moon. One gets shot, one gets captured, he gets turned Aryan, and then they take him, the Peace Girl, and the soon-to-be Fuhrer, go back to Earth to meet with the American president, who happens to be, what's her name? The Alaskan woman that can see Russia from her backyard.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember her name. She's an idiot, but they have her as the president, which is just a whole joke in itself. But she ends up making friends with them and using like the lady's speech, and then she ends up giving him some resources. They become models for them because their primary advisor is a fashion model guru, because she's a marketing genius, who actually winds up getting put on a spaceship because they couldn't pay another actor, I think, to battle the Fuhrer and everything when like the Nazis actually invade with these crazy meteoroid Zeppelin things.
I love that premise.
I could spoil everything in this movie and you would watch it in amazement because it's that ridiculous.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think, and then the whole thing is that like he gets turned back into a Negro guy, and then of course the school teacher's after him because he's a hot black model guy, or whatever however you want to say it. But it just, to me, it's like, so like the story here, the lesson we all learn is like no matter how white you are, your daughter always wants a big black cock. That seems to be like the moral of the fable.
Mm.
Which akins it close enough to porn for me. So it's like, what did I watch for? And I left this and came back to it a couple times because I couldn't do it. So it's not like I didn't like the movie. It was actually really well done. I was really like, well, what the hell are they going to do when I come back? Did you find that movie you wanted?
Yes. Have you heard the Who's album Tommy?
Tommy?
Have you ever listened to the Who?
Oh, you're asking me about music. No.
Okay, so this may go over your head a little bit, but
Go for it.
one of the Who's best known albums was an album called Tommy. It came out in 1969, and then they adapted it into a film in 1975 with some of the band members took roles on and then you had people like Eric Clapton, Tina Turner, Elton John. It's a bit like the Blues Brothers is in the sense of you've got a lot of cameos, and there's like it's very like a musical based film.
Okay.
But it was done by the Who, and it sort of follows the story of the way the album goes. The album is fantastic, but the film's supposed to be very good as well, and I haven't seen it. So I may make that a future pick.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah. So did you manage to watch anything else this week?
Not really. I mean, like I say, I was catching up because last weekend was such a busy one. So no, not really. I haven't really done much else.
Okay.
Although my landlord has an absolutely massive cupboard full of DVDs, so I may borrow some of that at some point.
And I don't know about anyone else who ends up reviewing with us, but I have a good collection myself, so there's a good chance that like whatever you pick out of there, I'll probably have, so that won't be an issue. Because we try to pick something that anybody could watch, but if you've got one you really want to go for, then I don't care.
Well, I think we've kind of got the balance between stuff that everyone can get to and still looking for niche stuff. I'm a big fan of pushing the envelope, as it were. So
pushing what?
Pushing.
Hold on, you're breaking up, buddy. Do you have that picture of you ready to go? I know we had joked about that, but
sorry.
Like we were talking about putting like a picture of you up for your overlay instead of like a black screen. I said it as a joke, but I'm wondering if it wouldn't be a better try right now.
I'm not sure. I'm still getting the
You just sound like such a robot. Not that I don't
I'm
like
sorry.
robots. See, I'm sorry
Wow.
came through fine. But no, okay, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I can't remember.
No, you were talking about...
Pushing boundaries.
Yes, there you go. But are you talking about like just not using Netflix when you talk about that though? That's what I'm talking about. It's like excess.
Well, it kind of goes with it. I mean, we've done a lot recently. Like we've done some anime stuff when Neil's made picks. I did a Russian film. We're doing Red versus Blue, which is web series. You know, we're not sticking to the sort of general path, if that makes sense.
Okay, so and maybe you're comparing us to a couple other movie clubs out there because they do exist. But you're thinking like when you think movie club, you think these type of movies, and your claim right now is that we're off that beaten path.
Yeah, and I think that it's a good way to be because you know it's easy to watch the well-known stuff, but there is other things out there.
In fairness, that's going to get us more attention is to have well-known movies, which was part of the reason why I wanted to do Red versus Blue because I thought since it's an internet-based thing that we would get a little bit of attention from people who watch Red versus Blue, and maybe somebody would want to jump in with us, but I don't know. Hasn't quite been the case up to this point, but we haven't actually talked about Red versus Blue this show.
Should we do that?
I think we should. I just finished 7, so I want to stop, rewind, and go back and hear you talk about how great season 6 was, because you don't get a choice in the matter.
Six had the potential to be bad.
Why? Why do you think it had the potential?
Because it was not necessarily a reboot, but it was then leading on from the ending of season 5, and it had the potential to almost act as though nothing had happened or take it in such a completely different direction that everything felt completely disconnected. But I think what they did and the connection and continuity they gave it was probably about right.
Oh, I think it was bang on, yeah. Because you're absolutely right. They wrapped up Blood Gulch Chronicles, and if they had continued Blood Gulch Chronicles to season 6, I think it would have killed it.
Mm.
I think the right thing to do was what they did, is to reinvent the series at that point.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, it doesn't stay like that through the whole next 5 seasons, but there is some very important aspects that are held. So now did you watch this season 6 episode by episode, right?
Sadly, yes.
This is the one season that I'm actually a fan of that format a little bit, because you have the intro letters each episode, right?
Yeah, and for the first 5 episodes or so, they were a bit confusing.
Did you not understand who the people were that were talking?
Not to begin with, but then it became clearer the more I watched it.
Okay, because as soon as I heard like the director the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, well, this is the guy in charge. So that made sense to me. And then it became clear that the other guy was someone who was investigating him. And if I'm right, that's the counselor?
Chairman.
Chairman? Oh, okay. Is he the black guy on the screen?
I can't remember which one's which, but
because I can't remember if I can't remember if the guy on the screen is the counselor or the chairman or what.
I can't remember, but what I do remember is that I wasn't quite ready for the ending.
I'm happy to say spoilers are going to happen. So
yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't ready for his name. Let's put it that way.
But it was such a beautiful moment. It really was. Because I was so excited when I heard that the first time. I was like kicking stuff over in joy.
Yeah, I got that as well, because there was I think was it 15, 16 where they 16 where they reveal that Church is the Alpha AI, and then it's like I didn't put that together, and then at the very end when it gets signed off as Church as the director, it's like holy shit.
See, and I'm probably going to spoil something for you here, but the reason, like, I kind of thought that in Blood Gulch Chronicles that Church could have been an AI, because he jumps in a caboose, he hops around just like Omega does. And he's the only one that can do it besides Tex. But I was like, well, if Tex had Omega, then she's obviously a person, so I guess they're ghosts. So I wrote it off for the longest time, and I never considered the idea that Church could actually be an AI past that point. But it totally makes sense. What was unfortunate is that he did believe it all the way to the end. Because just imagine if he just tried to talk to the other AI. You know?
Well, yeah, it wouldn't have worked out as well. But what I liked as well was how it was more serious, if that makes sense.
No, completely.
It wasn't as much of a piss about as the other ones were, and I think the series benefited from that, because you did have the jokes, and as I said in my review, every character still got the individual moment to do what they needed to do or what they were there for, but it was done in a much more controlled manner. And some of the characters that I found quite annoying in an earlier series were less annoying because it was controlled better.
Yeah, you had straight men. In a lot of comedic scenes, you've got funny guys and you've got straight guys, and the straight man's there to give contrast to the humor. If you make too many jokes, you just overload the audience, which is what Red vs. Blue pretty much was. I'll be honest. Because Church was a straight man, but he was a really bad straight man, and Sarge kind of was too. But when you get to season 6, Agent Washington is the straight man, along with Delta.
Yeah.
But he was almost goofy in his own right, whereas Wash tried so hard to be a straight man.
Yeah, you could see him almost fighting against it, well, fighting against the tide of non-seriousness.
Stupidity.
Yeah.
Caboose, grab those spiky grenades. Thunk. Someone hit a wall my way. That was the worst throw ever of all time.
Yeah.
Because he has, that's the funniest line in the entire season to me. And it's Wash's line, but it's because it's a straight man line that makes it funny to me.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the activating imp line was really good.
I can't remember which one was that.
That was the computer at the end is like it counts down, right?
Oh yeah.
And then it goes activating imp, and like Washington's like, "Oh, you got to be fucking kidding me!" And then it goes off.
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah.
Oh man. I want to pick your brain about so much. Let's focus on the new stuff because obviously we've got Delta as the new AI because you don't really get introduced to Theta or Sigma in this one.
No, you don't.
I know their names because I've watched farther in the series, but you just see them on the screen as images as they're talking to Delta, which was such a creepy fucking scene. Let's focus on that real quick. You remember that, right?
Which one? Where was this in?
The Meta walks up to Caboose while he's unconscious, and they get Delta.
Yes.
And they're like, "Hi, Delta. Hi, Delta."
Yes, that was interesting.
What's your impression of that and what's going on with the Meta?
The meta was interesting. It was because initially I got a bit confused as to what the meta was, but it was as it went on, it became more clear that it was an amalgamation of everything, really. And I think the sort of taking of Delta was an inevitability. It was going to happen because, well, the meta had taken everything else. But yeah, it was a bit weird. I can't really think of much else to say other than.
Well, no, my point is that like it's the first time that there's really a creepy atmosphere because there's an intensity with the meta around because you're like, oh my god, is he invisible? Is he a different color? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And there's a stress level there because you don't know how the attack's going to happen. But at that point, Caboose is down. He's unconscious. Delta's helpless. So it's really like, what's going to happen to everybody? What is he going to do now that he... It's like watching someone tied to a table and then the other guy has a knife, you know? That's what my impression was.
Go with it.
But let's move on to the meta. You said you saw him as an amalgamation of things. Like, what do you think of him as a villain overall? Charlie, I want to hear your words.
Was it breaking again?
I think it's better now. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was saying it was weird that you had the meta was a sort of enemy to begin with, but then it almost became the secondary villain once they sort of made the assault on the main sort of control center. And I don't know, because then you had it came back at the end and it was just I'm not sure. I think they should have just a main antagonistic enemy and stuck with that rather than.
I can talk about the meta for like hours, and I can tell you why I disagree with that. But let's pause for a second and rewind. You said secondary villain, right?
Well, yeah, because in the final few episodes, the focus is getting to the AI and this whole memory is the key thing, and it's almost, I don't know, after that it almost seemed like the meta took a bit of a backseat. Or did I miss something?
Enemy is the key, getting to Epsilon. Well, that was the security was something they had overcome to achieve an objective, in a way to battle the meta. I don't
Uh,
because Delta set them up as like, hey, you need Epsilon, if you're going to make any progress against the meta. So now the thing there is that the first secondary character, I know you didn't watch Recovery 1, or the secondary villain would have been South. Agreed?
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did miss that. I mean, I know that South was in the series, but that didn't really mean anything to me. That.
Well, the experience that you had with South, regardless of whether you watched Recovery 1 or not,
Mm.
um, what was your opinion of that whole situation? Because that was quite an ordeal all on its own.
Um, tell you the truth, I can't remember much about it.
It kind of left you.
Yeah, I think had I watched Recovery One, it may mean a bit more, but there wasn't really much I could really go with on that.
Okay, so for people who haven't watched it as well, Recovery 1 was a miniseries that happens right before Season 6. It's Washington going after out to help Agent North Dakota, who happens to be South Dakota's brother. They're twins. Agent Washington's designation is Recovery 1 because he is a recovery agent to commandeer government equipment in the field when a agent is hurt and or dying. And South was unable to deal with the situation at the time. As you're watching Recovery 1, it turns out that South is actually Recovery 2. And she shoots back Wash in the back to draw out the meta. And it's thought, Delta actually mentions it in Season 6, that she did something similar to North.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, she set him up to draw out the meta, but she didn't do a very good job. So she lost her brother, and then Wash came after her, and that's why Wash kills her, straight up. Actually, at Delta's suggestion, if I remember right.
Yes.
So she was kind of the first secondary villain because the meta is the villain throughout the whole thing. But when we get to the compound, security becomes an obstacle, and then I honestly still am surprised by that by the time the director tries to lock down Washington.
Mm. Yeah. Which bit was that? Oh, the very last bit. Wait, wait. Oh. Oh, what? No, I can't get out.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it was you.
Yeah, that was totally me. So yeah, that computer's restarting. It had a ouchie boo boo. So my point is that like it still surprised me when the director locks down Washington all of a sudden. It's just, let me adjust that a little bit. I totally don't see that coming each time because it doesn't make any sense to me. Where all of a sudden he releases the meta from the stasis thing and tells him to kill Wash.
Yeah, that was a bit of a turn up.
Okay. I guess we're on the same page there. But did you catch the meta's name at all?
Oh, yeah, I did, but I can't remember what it is. I do remember there being a name there.
Do you remember why it was significant?
No.
Well, okay. So a lot of people probably who would bother to watch this conversation and be interested probably know already, and the other people I can just spoil it for. Um, it's Agent Maine. He's actually a freelancer himself.
Ah, yes.
So I think Church exclaims that. So it's kind of weird that like both these guys technically work for the same people, but like one's going around killing the others, and then all of a sudden he gets carte blanche to kill Wash.
Hmm.
It seems kind of ridiculous in the long run of things. Because after he gets Wash, he's just going to go and get somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Um, but do you remember what the goal of the meta was supposed to be?
No.
He's got all the AI, right? So
Hmm.
his like goal or whatever supposedly is that he wants to um, join all the AI together to to get the alpha back.
Yeah.
That's the theory there, or with the AI, anyways. Um, so it's whatever it is. Just kidding. That's what it sounds like when you're on two computers when you shouldn't be. So give me a second. Vamp about this for a minute, will you?
Okay, right, okay, so he wants me to do some solo shit. It was good though, I'll give him that. My opinions of Red vs. Blue have been a bit mixed throughout the seasons, but no, 6 was definitely better. I can see why he wanted me to go through all this pain and suffering first. If he can hear this, he's probably laughing now. Yeah, but I'm hoping that the next one is just as good because it has the potential to be good or potential to be just sort of rubbish.
Okay, so yeah, you're very much of the opinion of Blood Gulch is all but rubbish, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that Blood Gulch pales in comparison.
Oh, of course. Yeah, to me the whole series pales in comparison to season 6.
Mm,
Um, but it is a lot of seriousness. So for people who are there for Blood Gulch, they kind of miss out a little bit. You still got it here and there, but what was I gonna say? Now I'll be honest, because I just watched season 7. I was actually surprised by the level that we kind of returned to Blood Gulch.
mm.
That atmosphere. But they do such a good job with all the camera angles and shifts, and then maintaining the atmosphere from scene to scene, because we do get the meta does come back. Obviously, Washington is involved again. Um, so like every time those characters show up, the atmosphere completely changes. And it makes sense because without them, the show was Blood Gulch.
Hmm.
It was goofy nonsense. What made it serious was when Washington and the meta came in and amped up everything.
Okay.
Did I ruin it for
I'm
you, Charlie?
No, because I've forgotten about it soon enough. But I'm optimistic. Let's put it that way.
uh, um, I'm happy for that. That you've got a smile on your face, because I think the beginning of 7 you'll be like, oh, this again, but it'll look better, so you won't be as concerned. But I think by the end of it you'll be happy and be looking forward to season 8.
Let's hope.
That's my prediction for you, anyways. But I love it all. I hate that I almost hate that I have to stop myself from watching the next season each time. So I'm like, oh, I could watch more. But then it throws the conversation off because I get mixed up on what happens.
Mm.
And I still got to do my review for next week and my BS. Speaking of which, I need audio from you. Did you post it?
No. I
Okay.
will do that. I will get that sorted for you.
Did we talk about Despicable Me? Because that was the current pick.
I don't think we have. No.
No. Okay. So yeah. So let's get on to that.
Let's do that quick.
You'll do your BS for that eventually. Give me the audio. But this week's pick was Despicable Me. Do you want to take it away since it was your pick?
It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it. Honestly, it's a fun movie.
It was.
Go ahead.
It's just there's just so much sort of comedy in it, and there's not a huge amount of a story, but what there is fits in perfectly with the laughs that you get. It's very well paced, I thought.
Yeah, I can see that. It's such a complicated movie, and you'll see that when I change the scene up. But because I break it down better than I'm going to do it here. There's just so many parts, and if you change one thing, you have to change like 6 other things. And so there's nothing like directly like I could complain about because the overall experience is really good. It doesn't matter how poor or great the individual things are. When you put them together, you get a magical thing. Like, it's like you wrap a bunch of vegetables in bacon. I think that would be the hairy analogy of it.
Yeah, we can go with that.
But of course, there's like the really great scenes. Like, I still go around sometimes. Like, I used to be like when Tux had more hair before I shaved him. Be like, it's so fluffy. And then of course it's just fun to go like
I was tempted for Bad Summaries this week just to send you like a clip of Minions.
That would be pretty good. I don't know what we could do to properly give that honor in Minecraft though. Oh man. Let's see, it's an hour and a half in now. I really don't. I want to praise Despicable Me, but now I think about it, it's not one you can talk about because the harder you look at it, and the more you talk about it, the more you ruin the magic of it.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
Because it's an Employee of the Month movie mixed with a liar almost. It's that trope where like dad works too hard, so he has to choose between work and family.
Yeah.
Hook had it too. So you've got this dysfunctional family dynamic. You've got the overworked dad scenario. You've got the work scenario competing with a coworker, even if it's to steal the moon.
That was good. I like the concept because you could just see from the outset that it wasn't going to work.
Well, yeah, it could have worked, like, but where do you store the moon, you know?
Yeah.
You caught what, like, of course you catch what he did with the pyramid, because he just stuck it in his backyard and painted it to look like the sky. You got that, right?
Yeah, that was quite good.
Like, what are you doing? It's just funny because I get if you are watching with your brain on it all, it ruins it because even now thinking back on it, I'm like, well, I didn't like his vehicle, his Slugmobile, because obviously he had like wheels that actually could actually turn and move the vehicle so he could back up. But he had that giant thruster thing on it.
Yeah.
And then his plane had the same thing, and then it hovered.
I still think it was alright.
No, it's fine, but you just can't think about it. Because you're like, well, that would never work, and it's like, who cares? He's stealing a shrink ray, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody brought this up this week, and I can't remember who it was, Oh, I think it was Jesse Cox on the Polaris podcast for the Cox Optional podcast. Um, there's a certain thing like in games that like you have to believe it a certain amount. It happens for movies too. It's called suspension of disbelief. You
Hmm.
have to buy into the concept of the movie in order to enjoy it. Otherwise, your brain goes, "No, I don't like that." Um, and it's honestly what that is. It's you either accept the suspension of disbelief that these things can happen in this goofy universe, or you don't. But then you stop watching the movie because why would you?
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Anything you want else you want to talk about Despicable Me?
Uh, no, because I think, like as you said, the more you talk about it, it kind of almost ruins it.
Yeah. So after you're done watching this, if you watch this, go watch Despicable Me. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So moving on to like current projects and stuff. As you can see, you can look at my screen and the layout. Charlie, what do you think of this?
I
The
think it
new.
looks good. I think it
Um,
looks good. It's better than what I've got.
well, and I tried to give you one, and I think you're getting the wrong version, or it's caching weird. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't know if it works because like on my screen, you know what? I should probably just pull it up and look at it. I'll mute this computer first. It is, and see what it looks like on the stream. But um, like in my screen, like my Jam on Toast logo and my Weird Movie Club logo is covered by the blocks for us.
Yeah.
So I wanted it above, but that looks like crap because I can't sit here on screen. I've got to like sit up extra, and then maybe my head's off screen, and I'm just trying to stay in frame. I actually like it where I can be here, or I can slouch down a little bit because it's sometimes just more comfortable. Um, Looking at the stream, um, that is not blocked. Uh, what is blocked is the our name, or like not the name, but the description. Where like mine says programmer, YouTuber, game designer.
Yeah.
There's a Google Hangouts notification on the stream that blocks that. Um,
Uh,
the reason I didn't put anything in the top left corner is because there's that Google Plus overlay, and I
mhm.
didn't want to do that, or didn't want to cover that, but I wanted something in the top so that it notes our Twitter handles, so
Yeah.
people know they can yell at us on there. Um, Big credit to Mark Gardner and Weird Girls because on the Lovable Varmint hangout for the weekly recap, I noticed they did this. So I started investigating how to make it do that as well. Um, what I am thinking about, Charlie, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there, this part in the middle,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to cut that out.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair idea or a decent idea to at least try.
Yeah, that way it's open and then it's just corner stuff. And those logos there are my channel logos. I was trying to figure out a way to put my channels on there, but it may be too much information.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin it, overdo it, do you?
No, and that's fine. Like the symbols, I guess will be good enough. Maybe I can think about once I split it, I can have different heights. So maybe
Mm.
I can just underneath the symbols or something, or maybe shrink the symbols down and do it that way. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Shrink the symbols down and just put the URLs next to each symbol.
Yeah, that'll be alright. That'll work.
Yeah, you know what? So next week we'll have new overlays. I don't know if we'll have the same color scheme. I like it and I don't. It seems boring. Um, but that's something I've been getting into this past couple weeks when I let things just kind of start rendering.
Yeah.
Like it's like, well, now I can start on the artwork stuff because I've been upgrading all my channel stuff. Like the gray dye, it used to be blue. HTKB's in this wonderful Blade Runner text that Neil found. Jam on Toast got an upgrade. It still looks shitty Jam on Toast, but um, and then We Are Movie Club is due for some updates.
Yes, probably do update that.
If nothing else, we need to do a thumbnail for the Hangouts, and I want to do something with like little curtains for change of scene, but I don't know. We'll work on that offline, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
um, okay, guy, I need to not do that right now. So that's kind of stuff I've been doing with this. I think I'm gonna keep doing. But I think other than that, I've got two shows over at HTKB. I'm running Mindful Mondays, Thoughtful Thursdays that I think I'm going to plug forward with, because as long as I've got an idea or two, I'm going to keep at it. I've got a couple things coming up for Gem on Toast, but it's really irregular at this point. That I may force myself to do a movie review or something each week.
It'd be good to see more. It'd be good to see more reviews of the stuff that you're kind of casually watching. You don't necessarily need to apply like scores to them, but basically, I've just watched this. I think this and this and this, and it made me shit.
Well, see, that's the thing. Is my goal, like the whole point of doing the scale system at first was for me, because I came up with the scale system before I ever started doing movie reviews. Because I realized I'd been watching so many movies, I was like, what's my favorite movie? I should probably start keeping track and seeing what's what. So I came up with the score system so that I could kind of rank them. And like that continued into doing movie reviews. It started with my buddy John, and he just fell out of it. But I kept going forward with it, and then I found movie clubs and whatnot. So I want to make sure I do a review first, and if it ever comes up again, you'll notice that I don't do a review. I do what I call an analysis.
Yeah.
Or I do comparisons like I did with Carrie. So it's, I don't know how to say it. It's a goal to make sure that I do reviews for movies. I'll be honest, it's a lot easier to just turn the camera on, talk for a bit, and then turn it off. Even if I have to go in there and edit out ums and stuff.
Oh, glitched a bit there. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
But no, like I want, and that's the point of that channel, is to have that show, the Jam. So since that show's got its own channel, I want to try to keep that up, and I will occasionally mix it up with other things. But I think I might just start forcing myself to do a second movie review or something each week. Because I've got one for The Fault in Our Stars audiobook coming up, and I've got one for the Cell series coming up that are not involved in anything else. Because I did do that one on Hello Kitty.
Yeah, that was quite good. That brought back memories.
It was just eating at me the whole time because I'd mentioned it back when I showed it to you, and I was like, I should just do this.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then gameplay stuff over in Gaming Division that I'm really enjoying. It's just a matter of making sure everyone involved can actually do it and whatnot. So I think, well, Charlie, what you got? Future projects coming up? Anything special you want to get in on?
No.
No, you don't have time.
No, I actually worked it out. I've done 36 hours of work this week, which is more than I've ever done in a week before. So I'm gonna try catching up where I can, and that'll be about it.
Okay, and that's fine. You're just getting used to real life, being an adult.
Exactly.
I think you'll find it's not as bad as it seems. I know I seem to do a lot for adult scheduling time or whatever. But I'm not saying you got to do as much as me, but I'm saying like you can definitely still get some stuff done. Like I'm still getting programming stuff done on the side. Just the ridiculousness of what I realized I have to go through to get this game design thing. Real quick, just because it's something I do, even though I talk about it all the time. I mention that I do it, but I don't mention like update or anything. There is a program I made to try to find this permutation set if it exists, because it may go through the whole thing. But it's been running for a day, I think, at this point, and it's running through 360 combinations
Okay.
over a set of 20. So it runs through those 360, and then it ticks over to the next one. 360 ticks over the next one, and then those next ones go 360 and ticks over the next one. It does that 19 times. So we're at stretch 3 of set 5 at this point. So it's just basically this computer's job over here. It's like, you just crunch those numbers for me, and then hopefully it'll give me that set, and I may have to do it one more time for the next permutation set, but if I can get those 2 sets done, that'll give me that, and I'll have a game that I could potentially produce.
Yeah.
What'll happen? It'll go into GameBox, which is my software, and so once it goes into that, I'll get everything else that I'm working on for that ready and push it out, and we will eventually do some gameplay stuff on there. I think it'll be fun. But all right, if you've got nothing, I'm good to go.
Okay, good to go then.
All right, you want to sign off and then I'll take us out?
Well, now that my lower third's working, I can direct you to my Twitter, Daniha. I'm at TheCharlie. on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube at Snow140. It's probably the only places you'll find me at the moment. So yeah, go there.
Okay, I'm going to do this just because I have all this stuff, lovely stuff on the screen, and it's actually this hand. Try this out. I am Kamurai. I'm a programmer, YouTuber, game designer. If you go up here, you can see that we're on the Twitter at WeAreMovieClub. If you want to like what we do, you want to get involved, by all means, yell at us on the Twitter. If you just want to tell me how much you hate me, that's where you do that, is at Kamurai25. If you look down here, I've got 4 channels that I am currently involved with. HTKB is my Vlogs and Thoughts channel. I've got a couple shows going on there where I just talk about philosophy and things I hate, really, I think is what Thursday is going to turn into. Gaming Division, Charlie actually gets in on this with me, where we go and we play games and we record it and we talk about game stuff, and eventually I'll have semi-educational game stuff. Gem on Toast is my media reviews channel that's involved with We Are Movie Club, which is what you're watching now. But unless Charlie suddenly thought of anything, I think we're going to go.
I haven't.
Thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye.